Thank you. Yep. So Yamagara, Nati Yui Jacquie, Natu Nyampa Winangara, Nianu Kurentalini Nurambaka, Nianu Buko Nichikara. Hi, my name is Jacquie and I'm from the State Library of Queensland, and the words I have just spoken are in Yampa, the language of my mothers. It's a sleeping language. So I try and use it as often as I can. And those words were to introduce myself to the ancestors here and to pay my respects to the traditional custodians of this Nurambaka, or these homelands that have been their country since the beginning of time. I love this quote. The sharing of story is a cornerstone of Aboriginal culture. Story gives us time to slow down, story connects us, and story teaches us. And so writes Paul Callaghan in The Dreaming Path. And I love this because I do love a good yarn, as I just mentioned, and what an opportunity today is to share stories and have a yarn about First Five Forever. So the state government invests $5 million annually into First Five Forever to support strong early literacy foundations for all Queensland children aged between 0 and 5 years. The State Library of Queensland, public libraries, Indigenous knowledge centres and First Nation communities are all working together to deliver innovative outcomes for our little ones and their families. There are so many stories of strong partnerships, but today I only have time to share 3 with you, and it was so hard to choose. But you'll hear how these projects have really centred people and relationships and have enabled collaboration and knowledge sharing and actions of reconciliation. So I want to thank the teams at the Cairns, the Burdekin and the Scenic Rim Libraries for trusting me to share their stories with you today. Just for a moment as well, I do want to honour the work done by the Hinchinbrook Indigenous Literacy Project, which actually won the community category for this year's Queensland Reconciliation Awards. And if you haven't had an opportunity yet to reach out to them, I urge you to do so. And now to Meanjin. So I joined State Library of Queensland in March in a new role designed to support the inclusion and celebration of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander families, languages and cultures into First Five Forever. And we know how much representation matters. So work had begun to develop an image library of over 100 beautiful images to reflect the diversity of First Nation families, talking, reading, singing and playing across Queensland. Of course, this is one of those amazing photos. You might have seen it on some blogs we've written. These will be launched really soon. So in addition to the image library, we also developed a culturally representative First Nations design for First Five Forever. And here it is. So we engaged with an Aboriginal artist called Bernard Lee Singleton, or Bernie, who was commissioned through a First Nations creative agency called Saltwater People, and he created this hero image, which he's titled Nuramba Garan, which means all come, or everyone come to this place of learning. And I think it's really vibrant and it's playful and it's colourful. But when you get a chance to read the style guide and the artist story later, you will see that Bernie has very deliberately embedded messages about his connection to nature, the importance of his culture, and he's also shared the messages of talk, read, sing and play. But I've only got 10 minutes, so you'll have to read. So we've also translated that beautiful hero image onto a range of collateral. So in addition to these jerseys and posters, there's also the design work for an incredible marquee that's so colourful, children's t-shirts and banners. And these designs will soon be available for public libraries to use as they are, or you can use them as a springboard to inspire your own beautiful design work following the style guide, of course, but we can't wait to see what you can do with them. Like I said, more information will be coming out about Nuramba Garan, the style guide, and all of the designs and the animal motifs really soon. But now, let's travel over to the Rural Scenic Rim Library, who in 2021 produced a Yugambeh children's book called Jarjum Guruma. This project also received a highly commended in the community category of the 2022 Queensland Reconciliation Awards. And I spoke with Karen Brooker at the library, who told me that it all began with a First Five Forever micro innovation grant and a football player. For anybody who follows footy, oh, you want to know which footy player it is, don't you? There he is. So if you do follow football, you might recognise Jamal Fogarty as a Titans player. But he's also a very proud Mananjali man, and he was very happy to be the literacy champion for this project. And he produced about 10 videos, I believe, of him pronouncing the Yugambeh words and also delivering some First Five Forever messages. So the library partnered with the local Yugambeh Museum to source the language words and the cultural protocols and permission for their use. The children at the local Mananjali House Playgroup and after-school care program helped to illustrate the book, and they also created a song and dance, which is so cute, and you can find that on YouTube. The book was launched in 2021 and distributed through libraries, schools, and community groups such as Headspace. But there's more. As community pride grew in the project, the ideas just kept flowing and eventually took 4 grants to complete. So part of that was a story walk was installed at the local Beaudesert Park, where they had 10 pages from the book printed up onto board with anti-graffiti overlay. And of course, the QR codes there link families back to the beautiful videos of Jamal pronouncing the words. And what I think is really sweet is the library is actually positioned close to the park or on the edge of the park, so they can see families interacting with this design, this story walk. So additional resources were also created, that's it, from the project, including library signs in Yugambeh and children's language resources. But Karen has a message for you today, and her message is, don't rush. Take all the time that it requires to build those relationships, to do the work together. And now we're going to go and visit the neighbours and Brittany Wise at the Burdekin Library to find out about the Nature Passport project, which began in 2019, also with a First Five Forever micro grant. So the Burdekin Library worked with an early childhood consultancy, the council's tourism team, and the Gujarat Indigenous Reference Group to deliver the passports which were released last year. The aim of the passport was to connect families back into nature after all of the COVID lockdowns, and for families to learn about the value of nature play, to tie in First Five Forever key messages, and to discover more about the local Aboriginal culture and history of their region. And I can tell you, after looking at the 30 pages of this action-packed adventure guide, it was so hard to choose any photos with. I wanted to use them all. But an integral part of the passport are the many activities developed in partnership with Gujarat, which shares the stories and the languages of the Bindal and the Juru people. For example, on this page, you can see that sand yarning as a storytelling technique, and it highlights that the sand in the Nature Play Park was taken from the Burdekin River, which is an area of cultural significance between the Bindal and the Juru people. So there's lots of fabulous local information like that. The passports invite families to engage deeper with First Nation cultures, with local contacts and really practical information for them. But Brittany has a message for you as well, and it is that small libraries can achieve really big things when you work together with your community. And finally, we're going to swoop up the coast to hear about the beautiful Bulkawai Miraku and the rich relationships that Jemima Evans at the Cairns Library allowed time and space to grow. So in 2021, Jemima used a First Five Forever Innovation Grant to partner with Marindi Schreiber, who's the lady in the middle. She's a local Kuku-Yulanji woman, Natalia Mann and Nikki Doles, to develop a pilot session for First Five Forever Rhyme Time. Jemima spoke to me about allowing Marindi, Natalia and Nikki ownership over the space to create a safe cultural space at each session. So mats and cushions are laid out, musical instruments and baskets made all from natural materials are helping to set the scene. But really importantly, Jemima told me that the lights are dimmed and it creates this cocoon, this space of gentleness and nurturing for children and their carers. Songs, stories and lullabies are shared in a variety of languages, including local First Nations languages. Can you see the harp behind those children dancing? Don't you just want to be there? It just, oh. So at the end of each session, ochre is offered to the families to take home so Bub can do a handprint as a memory of that special time together. So feedback from that first session was outstanding, and the pilot project is now a regular First Five Forever offering across several libraries in the Cairns area. Families are travelling from as far away as Kuranda and the Cassowary Coast to attend, with one Torres Strait Islander mum commenting that she felt like she had come home after attending her first session. So at a time when so many families are looking for connection and belonging, I think this program has really spoken to them. It's important to note as well that Jemima said the conversations between her and Marindi began to grow back in 2018. So what has also grown now are deeper connections into the First Nations community. So other storytellers and artists are joining in. And as you can see, Jemima's message for you is about trust, trusting the relationships and open and offer space to people. And like all good storytellers, Jemima, Brittany and Karen have more they want to achieve and more they wanted to share with you today. But you'll have to reach out to them yourselves and have a yarn to find out what happens in the next chapter of their stories. Thank you.
Well done, that was exactly 10 minutes.